Good evening. Good evening. Who's ready to go? Who's ready to go? Yeah. This is week 7, so this is the second half. We start the second half today, and we'll start really building up. And I think we have a great workout today and a fun time. And again, like I said in the email, we're going to get you out of here just a little bit quicker tonight, just in case you need to get to bed early. Just show of hands, did actually have a rooting interest in the Tar Heels? Did actually have a rooting interest in Kansas? Oh, yeah. You were born there. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So when we get back to, I'll mention again, I'm going to pass around the shirt size thing. So let's make sure if you've paid, you get on there. If you haven't, then let me know so we can get your shirts ordered. I'll also speak at the end. There's the race code. Again, if you've paid, then you've already paid for the race. You just go to runsignup.com or you go to the events on the River Oaks webpage and you go to register for the race as if it were its own, I call it its own entity. Sometimes it's confusing. Run for God is its one thing and the Rock 5K is another thing. And I just happen to be like a foot in each of them. So that just makes it confusing. But we treat that like it's its own race, just a standalone race. So you go just like you'd register, you get to checkout, enter that code, and it'll zip you to zero. I saw that we've had about 11 people sign up, and I know we've had about 60 people pay. So that's why I just want to make sure if there are any questions or any issues, you let me know. But the sooner you can get through there and register, the better, so we can get prepared for the race. We're about to hit our first 200 participants. So this is pretty good to be this early and already have 200 people. And I know there's still some running clubs and some others that are signing up. So continue to share that. Now, before we go out tonight, let's talk about what we're going to do. I want to talk to you about pacing because we're getting to a point in this training, but also if you go beyond this, that pacing is probably one of the most important things you can do once you get out there injury-free and ready to train for something else or to run the actual event. When I talk about pacing, you need to be aware of it. What are you running? At what per mile is a good indicator? How many minutes per mile are you going to run your training or your workout, or how fast? And you start getting an idea for that. That's how you're going to improve. That's how you're going to feel good. That's how you're going to finish strong. A couple pacing strategies just to think about. You might want to start incorporating it into these workouts in the last several weeks here, including walkers. If you want to walk stronger, if you want to hit a certain time walking, think about your pacing. One of the pacing strategies is just simply even splits. You kind of have a feel for what it takes for you to go 3.1 miles, and you say, all right, you know what, the first mile I'm going to do about 11:15, and the second mile I'm going to do 11:15, and the last 3.1, guess what? I'm going to do 11:15. That's just a real even split sort of approach. So that's one way to kind of measure, and then as you train, just continue to maybe inch it up 3 seconds if that's important to you to get faster. The second is the course splits. I showed you that elevation chart last week. And so when you see an elevation chart or you know your training route, just adapt your pacing to that so it's a continuous effort. So you might say, looking at our course, it's pretty well downhill for the first 3/4 of a mile. You might say, I'm going to be okay if I run 11 minutes that first mile. And the way you're going to do this is just marking it with your watch, or you just know how far you're going, or during races we'll have the miles indicated. So you'll see 11 miles, but then we're going to come back uphill. So it's going to be okay that my second mile is about 12 and a half minutes. I'm in good shape. And then my last mile is going to be just about 11:30. And that's my goal. That's where I want to come in. So look at the course, know what your pace is going to be. The best pace strategy that I'm convinced is to approach any sort of workout or training with negative splits. By negative splits, what I mean is that the first half of your workout, race, run, walk was slower than the second half. And when you think in terms of halves, there's 2 ways to get there. There is the kick. It's going to run even, but at some point, I know when that point is, I'm going to kick. What I prefer is just sort of a progressive speed, like we've done in our training. How I've said, look, your first interval should be slower than your second, which is slower than your third. I feel like that's always the best case in terms of injury prevention and for conserving energy and knowing what you're doing in that workout. So your first mile might be 12 minutes, and then 11 and a half, and then 11:15, and then the last 10th is maybe 11. If this is your first time to ever run or do an event like this, take this or leave it, okay, honestly. If this is your second or third and you're saying, hey, I want this to be the best that it can be for me, I want to improve, I want to hit a certain goal time, start thinking about your pacing and your pacing strategy. I want to finish a 5K in under 30 minutes. All right, do the math. What does that mean? Do the math. I want to finish a 5K walking in under 45 minutes. Do the math. How are you going to do it? I'm going to do mile 1, mile 2, mile 3. Does that make sense? So important, so overlooked. If you don't have a pacing strategy, you're going to either be at mile 2.5 and just totally exhausted and have to walk home. Or you're going to finish the finish line so full of energy, you're like, man, I left a whole lot out there I could have used up. This is too easy. All right, so, and you're not going to hit the times you want to hit. So start thinking about pacing. Tonight especially too, we're going to start getting where you can't really hear, not everybody can hear the whistle on the intervals. So also important to start knowing that when I hit the first whistle to begin that first run tonight, that you start figuring out yourself what that looks like with 5 minutes and 2 minutes and 5 minutes. I'm gonna try to get central. You're going to see that we're going around the high school tonight, and I have to be careful because if we get too close to the stadium and they're having a lacrosse game, boy, that sets them all off. A lot of stop play out there right in the middle of the game. So I try to stay more on this side of the school, but you'll kind of hear. Last thing about pacing, conversational pace. This isn't a sprint. And so if it's not a sprint, you say, well, what is my best pace? And you don't know? What's the pace that I can hold a conversation? I can actually have a little bit of a talk while I run, and I'm not so out of breath and so panting that I can't talk at all. Okay, so a conversational pace, if you're going to incorporate a walk into your run, either by unplanned or planned, either way, have a plan at that point. The next mailbox. All right, I'm going to walk for 30 seconds. Most importantly, run the mile or the minute that you are in. So tonight, run the interval that you're in. Don't think about how many are left. Don't think about, all right, I know when I get to the second mile, I'll be flat on Louisville Clemens Road. No, run the mile you're in. How are we going to get to the end of this mile? And then let's think about the next mile. Really important as you go 5K, really important as you go to a 10K, even more important if you try to add miles after that, okay? So run the mile you're in and run your race. Run your race. You say, well, it's easy out here because I've got someone that I've kind of been walking with, or I've got someone that runs my pace. Race day, there's going to be 500 of us at one lane. You're going to try to line up right, but you're not necessarily going to do that. And all around you, people are either going to be passing you, people that, like, you're going to go, wow, you're going to look at me and go, he's passing me? That can't be. Look at him. And you're going, I got to run faster. No, this is your race, your pace. You gotta keep that in mind, okay? So no one else around you. It's just your pace and your race, okay? So with that, tonight, here's what we're going to do. This is how we're going to spice it up a little bit tonight. You guys know the route down to Southwest School Elementary and the traffic light that we've been doing. I'm going to do the warm-up on my whistle, go up the drive, head back down there. Just like that, but instead of going into the parking lot, you're going to keep going down to the entrance between the tennis courts and the football stadium, okay? If you run the race before, this is the route, okay? And then you're going to keep going along behind the stadium. If you can, and the cars allow it, stay along the fence line by the stadium. That's the route of the course. We have the cones out during the race, and it's closest to the fence as you can. Turn up by the bus lot. And come between that gate. For the race, the big swinging gate will be open. Most of the time when we're running it for our Run for Gods, it's just a pedestrian little gate. You got to kind of step off the sidewalk and get back, or step off the road and kind of get back on, okay? So don't worry about it. You're going to the right place. It all makes sense. And then for runners, go back up by the office, just like the race route, by the rock. Everybody knows where the rock is? Run up by the rock, go back up on the sidewalk, and make another loop, okay? So runners will go all the way around front of the office, by the rock, make another loop around the stadium. Walkers and then runners on your second loop will actually come up that drive to Louisville Clemens Road. The one with the chain link fence all the way down, right? Backs up to the neighborhood. And then come on back to the parking lot. If there is any time, some of you speedsters, if there is a few minutes left on your last interval, you're just going to kind of do the parking lot and we'll all close here. Walkers, you'll just go around the high school, the stadium, and come up Louisville Clemens and come on back instead of going up by the rock and coming. That should balance everything out. Quickly, the alerts, Forest Oak, again, peek over your left. Make sure no one's blinking. If they're blinking, just let them turn. Stop and let them turn. Southwest School Road, when you make that turn at the light, there are 2 lanes. Hardly anyone ever takes that far right-hand lane. It's still a traffic lane, so be careful. But that's the lane that goes into the parking lot number 1. Hardly anyone's ever driving in that when we're running. Keep an eye over your left shoulder. It's when you get past the end of parking lot 1 to go down to the tennis court that you're now sharing a lane with cars behind you. Not the ideal situation, but keep over your left shoulder, okay? Shouldn't be too bad right now, but just be aware. Just be aware of the high school activity, okay? We've done this for 10 years, or 9 years at least, and never been an issue. We just run through there, just like you're on your evening run. But keep an eye out. That side gate, again, if you step off the road and back onto the road, watch your footing. No twisted ankles. Again, that's going to happen more than any of these other running injuries we talked about. So that's a prime area that it could happen. Please be careful. And then I always like to remind you, when we're running over there, see the white of their eyes because they are student drivers, many of them. Now, there's a lot of bad parent drivers, but there's still a lot of new student drivers. So just be aware, safety in numbers, keep an eye out for everybody. Yeah. Does that make sense? All right, well, this is going to be fun. Another beautiful night. Let's go run, and we'll come back in here, and we'll wrap up the proverbial March Madness. I also want to let you know, I think on these, and I think on the race shirts are technical shirts. So when you sign up for the 5K, it's a race shirt. Carolyn's. Yeah, it's sort of the dry fit, wicking shirt. That's from a while back we did. And they have youth, small, medium, large, adult, extra small, all the way up to 3X, I believe, on those. And these shirts for Run for God, the youth sizes are likely going to be the same shade and the same design, but they may be more of a 100% cotton t-shirt. Whereas most of the adult sizes, including extra small, are going to be the tri-blend soft material like this. Okay? Any questions, just let me know. Good work? Everybody feel good? Yeah? Good job. For yourself. You're over halfway. Now we're getting into it. I'll show you the second half here in a second. I also want to mention, well, I can't do it yet. Mrs. isn't in here. Where's Mrs.? She's on her way. Okay. There's Mrs. Hey, all right. I got to tell you, I have always proposed this for Valentine's. I've always said there's no better place you can be or take your loved one on Valentine's than on a run or to run for God. These guys are celebrating their 7th year anniversary today, and they wanted to be with you. Yeah. Congratulations. Nicely done. Good work. Okay. Let's see. We're back. All right, so here's what I want to do. We're going to talk just a little bit. Hopefully, if you were here last week, then you were going to find a proverb. And you were looking through Proverbs, and you remembered your proverb, and you brought that proverb back, and you know the reference. But that's okay if you didn't, or if you weren't here. I'm going to give you some time. I want to go back over just real quickly. Does everybody remember what Proverbs are? What the book of Proverbs is? Wisdom. It is a guide for living well in God's world. Are Proverbs promises? Are they guarantees? Are they formulas? No, they are guiding principles for all areas of our life in a godly way in God's world. They were written mostly by Solomon, but as we learned, there are some poems at the back, one by Agur and one by Lemuel. There's also a Proverbs that's mentioned throughout that is not Solomon, but most of them are collected by Solomon to gain wisdom. Everybody say it together. If you were here, you know. I got to guard my space. Hakma. Everybody. Yeah, that's great. Wisdom. Old Testament wisdom is not just knowledge. Old Testament wisdom is to gain the application of that knowledge. It's to gain the skill of that knowledge. It's to put it actually into work. So Proverbs are intended to live well, to live wisely in God's word. Not just that you know it, but that you apply it. Does that make sense? It's a good word from the Old Testament. Hakma. All right. 31 chapters. That's why it makes it really good to do one a day for a month. It's a monthly devotional. Just start back over. 4 parts to Proverbs. The first part is really the first 10 verses. It's an introduction. Hi, my name is Solomon. I'm the son of David, king of Israel. I'm writing these because I want you to have Hakma. Pretty clear. Goes on to tell. The next part is a father to a son. We can use them today as we might talk to a child, a parent to a child, son, daughter. This is wisdom. Please take heed. Listen to this. Let me tell you about lady wisdom. Let me tell you about these things. Then the Proverbs that we're all very familiar with. From chapters 10 to chapters 29, when we think of the Proverbs in Scripture, we think mostly of all of these little sayings, all of these little Proverbs. And then we end with those last 2 chapters that are those poems by Agur. Lemuel is well known. That poem in Proverbs 31 is often referred to as a virtuous woman, a woman of noble character. That's Proverbs 31. Lemuel. Does anybody have anything else that Lemuel did? Any Lemuel books on your shelf? I don't. I'm just curious. I don't know if you've ever. I don't know. He was a king of some other place too. We have to look that up. Okay. All right. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to close this out. If you brought back your proverb, you're going to share that with the table. All right. You're going to share that proverb, why it still resonates with you, and how that you want that to sort of make that your proverb. If you weren't here or you don't recall, then find a proverb. There's a Bible on every table. You can look on your phone, but find a proverb probably between 10 and 29, but there's proverbial sayings in the first parts as well. All right, find your proverb, because what you're going to do, write your proverb, the reference, okay? Something like that. The reference, and I've kind of done like I'll show you on mine, look. Mine is Proverbs 17:22. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. What a truth that is, generally speaking, right? So on mine it says Proverbs 17:22, and it just says cheerful heart. That's my reminder. That's what it's about. That's all I need to say. And then I put my initials on it, DH. That's not overly complicated. But I did come up on that on my own. All right, all by myself. And then on the back, I just put like RFG 22, something like that. It's your basketball, but here's what, in a second, that ball's not going home with you. So your proverbial advice is going to be shared with someone else to take home, and that's where the chaos is going to come in. All right, and go. Have a good time at your table. Think about Proverbs. Good Proverbs. Keep good work. Now, I mean, here's the thing, too. Now, just take all of that good advice, all that good wisdom. If each of us would simply just go out and live that wisdom out this week, that'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? Yeah. So that's a good first challenge. So you've got your proverb, okay? Now, hold on a second, because I'm going to give you a before we go, your needs to know, and then we're going to end by exchanging the proverb with somebody else. All right? So, before we do that, let me tell you about what you got the rest of this week. So, need to know. Shirt sizes, where are we? Shirt size sheet somewhere around? Are we stuck? Is it stuck somewhere? No man's land. Everybody get a chance to look at it? Everybody over here good? All right, we'll bring it over here. Perfect. All right, we'll get it back over here before we go. The RFG code, again, it's there. When you go on there, let me know if you have any problems at all with that. And we'll get registered there. Rock RFG 22, one per registration. Okay. Donation matching. Again, if you share the race with others, many ways. That website, the Run Sign Up website for the Rock 5K, you can register to walk or run. You can register to volunteer. You can register to sponsor. You can register to donate to City Lights Ministry. So there's a lot of things you can do on that website that if we share that, effective now for the rest of this month until the race day, we have someone who's matching up to $2,500, dollar for dollar, with every donation. So that's awesome. We want to share the word about that. Someone says, I can't be there, I can't help, I can't run, but this is something maybe I want to do. Along with that, we've now got our product sponsor or our product collection drive. You are my test market for my slogan this year. Huh? Run your pastry? Okay. All right. I think I'm going to go with it then. City Lights. It's one of the biggest items that they use throughout the year. Obviously, it's multifunctional breakfast, lunch, snacks, the adults, children, everything. And that's just one of the things that they really can use for breakfast pastries. All brands, all types like that. But we'll be collecting those through May 14th. Generally, we collect them somewhere in the coffee bar area and just start building something, stacking it up until we go. Noah's Ark, if you have children in Noah's Ark, they're also collecting for City Lights Ministry, and we'll start the pastry drive as well then. Okay? Go with it? Yes. Good. It took me a little second. I was like, there's this pause in the room. I thought, okay. All right, good. Good. All right, so that's what we'll start collecting. All right. Next week, we are going to get in the Psalms, and we're going to make some Hebrew language scholars out of you. Okay? If you don't know how to say your name in Hebrew or write it out, you will go home with it next week. All right? We're going to look at the Psalms and what that means. Good stuff. All right. Any questions that I've missed? Okay. After I tell you what we're going to do, everybody's going to stand up and they're going to get behind these two tables, behind the camera to that door over there, basically back in those three tables area right there. Just going to stand up and kind of get all together. All right, on the count of three, I will count to three. Not yet. I will count to three. And when I count to three, I will hold the basket. This is being filmed. This is a toss, not a throw. All right, and here's the deal. Okay, yeah, and so if anybody's in the basket, I'm going to grab it out, and that'll be our prize tonight. Otherwise, I'll grab the one closest to me. By the initials, you will be the prize winner. I've got a special prize for you. And then on your way out, you will pick up a ball, any ball. And you'll know the initials on it. Maybe you want to try to find that person out over the next few weeks, but you'll at least have another proverb too. So learn that proverb sometime this week. And that'll be another special proverb. I really don't, if you get your own ball, then we'll switch it up. But that might be something you really need to hear that word of wisdom then. So, all right, so does that sound easy enough? All right, but right now, I just want to get a picture of you guys taking aim real quick. All right, ready? Everybody take aim. 1, 2, 3, all right. All right, it's a toss. Not a throw. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Proverbs 17:6. Children's children are a crown to the aged. BB. Beth Beatty. Right here. All right. Have a great night, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Pick up a ball, please.